For those of you who don't know me, my name is Leanne Vogel. I'm a holistic nutritionist and high-fat enthusiast behind the site healthfulpursuit.com, and I help women regulate their hormones, balance their metabolisms, and generally be awesome by eating more fat. And today is Q&A day. We've had really bad internet experiences. I live out in the country, so sometimes it just doesn't work. And so we're just live on Periscope today. I'm really sorry to the Facebook people that couldn't join us live. I tried for 45 minutes to connect before our Q&A, and I just had to go live with what we have. As with all of our Q&As, now we are sponsored by Organic India Tulsi Tea. They're the makers of the original Tulsi Tea. They're sponsoring our Q&As, and this allows me to continue to create awesome Q&A sessions with you every Thursday at 10 a.m. Eastern, where you can join in, ask me a question, and these guys are partnered up with us. So if you haven't tried Organic India yet, you can go to healthfulpursuit.com/OI. That's all in caps, and it will take you to Organic India, and you can check it out. So let's get started with questions, and we have all the people on Periscope. Love the teas. Oh, I'm really glad that you like them. I do too. I choose this box, and it's almost empty. It's going to be empty soon because Sweet Rose is my favorite. Okay. Oh, and Periscope people, I forgot to tell you, there's a little dude over here. Can you share this video with your friends on Facebook and Twitter and all the places? Thanks. Okay, so the first question actually came in from our Facebook group, and I wanted to answer it here first because it's a really good question. Okay, overcoming amenorrhea on keto. So I'm trying to heal my hormones after going off birth control 3 months ago. 2 months after I stopped it, my hair started falling out. I had been on the pill for over 10 years. If I'm naturally less hungry, should I try to add more fats and force myself to eat them to heal? Or should I start intermittent fasting on keto? Or should I set the intention of eating low carb, high fat, and listening to my body? Is the latter enough? I'm just concerned that my fats have gotten lower since I don't eat as much. I do have at least one rocket fuel latte a day with MCT oil, coconut milk and collagen. So this is a really great question, and is so much more than amenorrhea focused. Oh, Facebook is live now. That's so great. Hey guys, the internet is really spotty, so if I lose you, I'm really sorry. So this goes more into just amenorrhea. I would say for amenorrhea, eat when you're hungry. Just eat. And over time, your hunger should get better, but I wouldn't intermittent fast. If you're trying to heal from amenorrhea, intermittent fasting probably isn't going to be your best bet. And then let's talk a little bit about eating when you're hungry and listening to your body. You know that I'm a huge advocate of listening to your body. You know this. If you've been following me long enough, you know that that's a real thing. So if you're hungry, eat. If you're not, don't. But if you're finding that you're not hungry all day or like for oodles of days, I would check your thyroid. You can test your TSH and your free T3. This is a blood test. You can also get saliva testing. I'm going to start doing a little bit of a saliva test experiment here pretty soon because I've been learning a little bit more about it, and I want to give it a whirl again and try a different type of form. And I also am no cycle for over 1 year now. So eat all the things. Definitely a carb up practice can be helpful. If you're not sure what a carb up practice is, you can check out my program Fat Fueled. If you're watching this on the replay, I'll include links up here and also down below. And if you're watching it with me, you can go to healthfulpursuit.com/ I think it's Fat Fueled. Let me just check. Yeah. healthfulpursuit.com /Fat Fueled. If somebody wants to write them in the comments, that would be amazing. I talk a lot about carb ups in that program. And the whole intermittent fasting, we talked about that. I wouldn't do that with amenorrhea. And setting the intention and listening to your body, that is always enough. That is like the omega. That is like the enough. That is the perfect awesomeness that is awesome. So yeah, I would say that that's a fabulous plan. And don't worry too much about your fats and your fat intake and, oh my gosh, I'm not hungry, therefore I am not going to get into ketosis. When you're hungry, eat fats. When you're hungry, eat fats. When you're hungry, eat fats. And it'll all kind of just work itself out. Okay, so let's go over to Periscope for a question. Do you guys have questions? I saw a bunch coming in while I was chatting. Lots of Facebook questions. I'll give you guys a second. Okay, I've really upped my fats, especially in the AM, and I have more carbs like fruit and starchier veg, I'm guessing in the PM. That is awesome. That's a great plan. Okay, we're going to kick it over to, okay, is it normal to have some weight gain? Can you explain it a little bit more? Is it normal to have some weight gain with overcoming amenorrhea? Yes, I'm going to answer it as overcoming amenorrhea. And then how to raise ketones. I like that. Overcoming amenorrhea, you likely want to gain weight. And if you are going keto and gaining weight or eating more fats and gaining weight, it's likely that your carbohydrates are mixing with your fats, and that could be a very real thing. So if you're practicing carb ups, make sure that you are eating your carbs with less fat and during that carb up period, so reduce your amount of fat. And then what else could you do? Make sure that you're eating when you're hungry and not just eating fat because you think that you need to hit your ketones and all that stuff, because then you're likely overeating and causing weight gain. So that can be a real thing. And I actually made a video all about weight gain and keto. So if you go to the Google machine and you type in weight gain keto, you'll probably find it. You might have to put weight gain keto healthful pursuit. I'll include a link up here and down below if you're watching this on the replay. Otherwise, I did a whole video on why you're gaining weight on keto. So you may want to check that out. The third question came in on Periscope. How to raise your ketones. Okay. How to raise your ketones. There are so many things. MCT oil is a big one. I like brain octane. I'll include a link if you're watching this on the replay to my favorite, brain octane. Oh, thanks. I love your hair. So brain octane, I have that in the morning. Rocket fuel lattes that help it. At least 75% fat. How I measure that without measuring or counting my macros is I just eat a ton of fat. And when I calculate it out later, it's around 70%. I just add a lot of fat to things. Fasting can help boost ketones, but you also want to be careful based on your health. And this will be different for everyone. Like some leaders in the ketone or ketosis space, rather, believe that fasting is good for everyone. I don't necessarily practice that or see that as being a real thing when I'm working with my clients, but it's a preference. Some of the questions I get from people on here is ridiculous. Amazing. Okay, so MCT oil, rocket fuel latte, fasting. My bedtime shake. My bedtime shake is awesome for creating ketones. So this is like a ton of fat right before bed. I'll include the link in the show notes up in the corners or down below. If you're watching this now, you can just go to the Google machine and type in Healthful Pursuit Bedtime Shake. That can really boost it. The ridiculousness is dehydration can also boost ketones, and not eating enough can boost ketones. And the reason I say those things is because when I'm working with clients and their ketones are like 5, I immediately think that they're not drinking enough, they're dehydrated, they need more salt, or they're not eating enough. Working out can boost ketones, so those high intensity interval training sessions, preferably in the afternoon-ish, can really help boost ketones. So those are some of the things that come to mind. I hope that was helpful. How do I feel about Carb Nite? Let's answer that question. That's a good question. Is it possible to overdo it on MCT oil? So 2 separate questions. yeah, I would say it's possible to overdo anything. Like, if you eat spinach all day and that's all you eat, totally, you're going to overdo it. If, I don't know, you can overdo anything. Literally anything. If you continue to cut your hair, you'll have no hair left. Like, same thing. So yes, totally, it's possible. How do you feel about Carb Nite? Okay, I did Carb Nite January to May of 2015, and I felt like I was never in ketosis and like never burning carbs. I was always tired and felt like garbage all of the time. That was my experience with Carb Nite. I ate a lot of garbage. I ate a lot of like gluten-free, although they were gluten-free, like cupcakes and cakes and ice creams, and I was planning out what I was eating, and I became totally obsessed with like cheat days. It just, if you have a history of a disordered eating, I would highly recommend not even going there. Carb Nite was developed by John Kiefer. And it's basically every time you work out, I should differentiate. Carb Nite is once a week for people that aren't exercising as much, and they can just literally eat any carbs that they want, pile it on, cheat day, go hard, eat all the things, and go back to eating keto the next day. Carb backloading is when you are eating, or when you're working out and then eating carbs every night. That was more the approach that I took, and then I switched over to Carb Nite. The only thing I don't enjoy with Carb Nite is the fact that you can eat whatever you want, and there's this whole cheat day mentality that I just did not like. My Carb Up approaches are like, have a sweet potato, have a white potato, but the whole balls to the wall approach to Carb Nite, I've seen so many people struggle with it and become so obsessed with food and keeping, like he recommends keeping a list of all the food you want to eat all week and then binge on it on a Friday night. Like, it's just, for me and my approach, it didn't work for me. And it might work for some people, but I became obsessed and crazy. Okay. Okay. Let's talk about Carb Up Foods, because there was a lot of questions. Sometimes my Carb Up Foods, like on my birthday, was my birthday cake. And sometimes if it's like a special event, I'll have a piece of pizza, like gluten-free without cheese, because both of those things make me feel like garbage. But oftentimes it's just sweet potatoes, an apple, some berries, which isn't necessarily a carb, but I find like sometimes all I want is berries in the evening, so that's what I do. Any of the paleo-friendly carbs like cassava, sweet potato, yams, plantains, any sorts of fruits. Bananas are fun. Banana ice cream, I make that. That banana soft serve is pretty good. What else? If you can do white rice, that could be good. And yes, let's move over to the extra protein piece. So in a previous Q&A, I'll include a link up here and also down below. We talked about the protein and increasing protein instead of increasing carbs, and that you can totally do that. Instead of increasing carbs on your Carb Nite, you can increase protein. So that is what you can do with that. Yes, you can. I would increase it by like 30 grams or so and start with that and see how you do. And that could replace your Carb Up. And more about that in a special project that I'm working on right now. It's going to be all up in it. And I said that I'd promise to share what that special project is with you today, but I can't because it's not ready. Totally out of my control. I'm ready. It's not ready. The people aren't ready, but I am. Okay. The sixth question. Let's talk about obsessed with counting, because it's a thing that happens a lot in keto. Obsession around numbers and macros, and I know that a lot of the questions that I receive even in here is all about that. So this came in from our private Facebook group, and to gain access to the private Facebook group, you just have to get one of my programs, and then you get access, and I'm in there like multiple times a day answering questions. And then sometimes I choose really good questions that I know a lot of people struggle with, and then I answer them in the Q&A so everyone can benefit. So do I have to eat any time when I feel hungry? I've done 16-8 IF, so that means that she's fasting for 16 hours and then eating for 8 hours. For a while, skipping breakfast and then eating until 8 p.m. almost every day. I want to eat food without the guilt, but it's really hard. I keep thinking and worrying about macros all day, even if I don't want to. My brain tries to calculate even when I don't actually want to calculate. I search the nutritional facts and write down the amount of carb, protein, and fat. Am I the only person here? No, you are not. Oh man, being obsessed with tracking sucks. I've been there. It totally sucks. Right? Yeah. Everyone's saying that they feel the same way. So my recommendation to you is to first look at the people and the influencers that are causing this activity. If there's people in your lives or people in your life, activities like in your life that cause it, or like maybe you follow people, like I used to follow a couple of people, I won't name names, that were all about like manipulating their macros and going on new meal plans and like being totally obsessed with everything and being really, really tired but still pushing because they wanted to like be better. Ugh, it's so triggering to me. So first, look at the triggering people in your life. If there's people that are encouraging this behavior and you don't want to be in this space anymore, this could be on Instagram, Periscope, any of the social media channels. And this is why I'm taking a break from Snapchat, because it's so triggering for me and I need to figure out how I can be on Snapchat and create boundaries and not get triggered by starting to track again and feeling really bad about my body. So if there's certain activities that make you feel bad about your body or that encourage you to do the things that you don't want to do anymore, completely remove it, delete it, remove it, stop following them, like completely cut them from your lives, at least, or life rather, at least for the interim. And macros, okay. How do I say this nicely? Although macros matter to getting into ketosis, you have to kind of weigh out your options. So option number one is that you are obsessed with macros. Just say it. Macros don't matter. Your health matters. Okay? Like, it's so overwhelming and so ridiculous that like, and I wouldn't have thought this a year ago, but like, that we're so ridiculously obsessed, like obsessed about the numbers and the food and the things that we eat and how we look. It's ridiculous. And like, I've changed a lot in the last year. And it's hard to be a ketogenic nutritionist who advocates not counting. Because in the ketogenic space, a lot of people don't want to do that because they think that they can't. But I've been in ketosis for the last year and I don't count anything and I'm not obsessed about it anymore. And I actually like have things to do. Like I can go camping and I can walk around in a bathing suit and I can do things and I can build my business instead of being completely ridiculously obsessed with every morsel of food I put in my mouth, because it's so overwhelming, isn't it? Like, oh my gosh. And you don't even mean to count. I mean, still now I'll like be eating something and accidentally I'll start counting how many calories there is on my plate. And I'm like, Leanne, nope, stop. And it takes time. Like I've been doing no thinking required. So let's talk a little bit about that. I'm going to actually bring up my keto program here because this one, the Fat Fueled program that I created last year in November, this is the program that does all of that. So I'll just disconnect. You can take a screenshot and I'll just keep talking if you can see that okay. healthfulpursuit.com/fat fueled. So I've been doing this approach now for over a year. I wrote the book on what I had done and how to not count, how to look at your plate, how to stop being obsessed about everything that you put into your body, and how to stop just like being crazy around food. It's just, it's so overwhelming. So I'm going to take this away and we're going to keep talking. Listen to your body. And it's a lot harder to do than it sounds. I totally understand. But eating enough fats really helped me see the world in a different place. And by eating enough fats, it's like your brain becomes aware of different things that it didn't, because you're no longer on the blood sugar highs and lows, roller coaster craziness, and you can really see things a lot differently. So I know that you can set the intention to eat low carb, high fat, baby steps to listening to your body exactly. And every time you get hungry, take just like 2 seconds, well, more like 14. Breathe in for 7 counts, breathe out for 7 counts with your eyes closed, and then open your eyes and ask yourself, what do I feel like? What do I feel like eating? And you might not hear anything, and it might take like months until you hear something, but setting the stage for opening that communication can be super helpful. So yeah, that's what I have to say about that. And if you want more chat about this, I definitely recommend checking out my podcast. You can go to healthfulpursuit.com/podcast. And I'll include a link up here and also down below for that, because we talk all about that all the time, and how to balance keto and body positivity and acceptance. And it's really good stuff. Okay. Next question. Sorry, I went on a tangent. I'm like really passionate about this whole like macro thing. I love that you love the podcast. Mindful choices. I've been trying that, asking, is this hunger or a craving? And it's okay if it's a craving. That's okay. Oh, I'm so glad you guys are liking it. What do I think about protein sparing day on Bulletproof? Yeah, so this encourages autophagy, which is the movement of items in and out of cells. So it can be almost like a detox. I imagine it being like a keto detox, this protein fasting. So if I'm not mistaken, it's been a while since I did it, but I think it's 15 grams of protein or less in a day. Like you want to be under 15 grams. So it can really help with detoxification of your cells. I found it really hard, and I was like on a blood sugar high all day, so it didn't really feel all that great to me, so I don't practice it myself. It messes me up. I have metabolic syndrome, so I really need to be careful with what I do, and that just set me off. Do you discuss your past eating disorder anywhere? A little bit. It's still quite fresh. Like I only really started to open up fully about it a couple of months ago. But yeah, I can talk about it now. I've never really talked about it openly like this, so let's give it a whirl. I'm an open book when it comes to eating disorder stuff. So I had anorexia. I started with anorexia/bulimia when I was about 11. And this started like way earlier when I would juice fast and just drink juice boxes for days and try to like push myself to not eat. I was a dancer, so it was kind of required to be thinner. And if you guys have seen my pictures of me lately, I'm quite a curvy individual. Like I have big hips. It's a thing. So I had to really restrict my food in order to fit a certain size for dancing. And when we moved to the city, my bulimia, or rather, I don't like to call it a possessive state. So the bulimia, not my bulimia, but the bulimia that I experienced really amped up. And I started really getting majorly thin. I lost a lot of weight. I was under 100 pounds. And I was addicted to drugs as well, so I was doing a lot of drugs. I was not eating, and this went on mostly through high school. It got really bad between grades 9 to 12. I left my house. I left my parents' house, dropped out of school, and kind of just got lost for a little while. And then I'm your food twin. Oh, great. I'm glad. I also dropped out. Yeah, so I dropped out and then realized life can't be that great when you don't go to high school and you don't finish high school. So I went back. I got a job. I did morning school, evening school, day school, and I graduated on time. I took about a year off. And then I was still really sick, still doing drugs, but at least I had a job and I was graduated. And then I remember looking in the mirror and just seeing that I deserved more than what I was providing myself, and I knew that I wanted to change, but I had no idea how. So I started eating and I started being okay with food, and that took a really, really long time, and I didn't do outpatient treatment or anything. My parents forced me to do that, and that's why I moved out, because my mom was like, go to treatment or move out, and I was like, okay, peace. So then I really, really worked hard at anorexia. I got okay with food, I got comfortable with food, but then I also got obsessed with food. And I was so insatiably hungry, and I couldn't control my appetite. I was always, always, always hungry. And so I started feeling guilty about the foods that I was eating, and bulimia came back up again. And I struggled with bulimia until 472 days ago. And it was the hardest thing I've ever had to do. I don't know exactly what sparked in me those 472 days ago, but it was always a problem, and I always felt guilty about everything, and I felt guilty about how my body looked. I felt guilty about the food that I was eating. I felt guilty that I didn't like working out, and I didn't like doing the things that people say that I should do in order to look a certain way. And I was just sick of it. I was so sick of being the way that I didn't want to be, and feeling like I was forced to do things that I didn't want to do. And screw that, life is too short. Like, screw it. I wish I could swear, but I'm not allowed on this video. Life is too short to constantly feel guilty about my body and guilty about feeling hungry. And I said, screw it all. And I did this within the keto diet, and that's where Fat Fueled was born. I've really set this amazing landscape, and I'm super proud of myself for being in this space, because I started my blog 6 years ago, and 6 years ago I was obsessed with running. I was 40 pounds lighter. I didn't have my period. I hadn't had my period in 10 years. My relationship with my husband was in shambles. I had no friends. I was obsessed with food. I couldn't go out. I was tracking everything. I was a mess. And you can see that in my blog posts and in the content I was creating. And to see the transformation and to see the platform that I have now to share this realization with the world, and know that you can treat your body with love, and you can eat fats, or you can eat carbs, or you can eat however your body wants, and you can feel good and you cannot feel guilty. And if you find that a ketogenic high-fat diet works well for you, and that's what your body wants, then I'd like to be that girl. I'd like to be that girl that you can rely on to support you and to provide non-restrictive resources, to just feel good in your body, and to just treat your body with love, and to listen, because there are so many people out there that need to hear this. And it makes me so sad, and I still need to figure out how to get back on Snapchat, because all it is people pushing themselves to be things that like complain that they don't want to do. It's ridiculous, and it makes me so sad because there's so many people and women and men that don't have somebody saying it's okay to be hungry. It's okay to eat. It's okay to be different. It's okay to have hips and thighs and like chubby things and cellulite and wrinkles on your forehead. And it's like, it's okay. It's okay. And it's okay that you hate going to the gym. I hate going to the gym. I love walking. And so I need to figure out, and I've kept a journal of everything that I've done with the eating disorder. And I hope to share it one day of like the steps that I took, but I still need to figure out how this looks. And I mean, I know that like a lot of business people will be like, oh my God, don't share that you had an eating disorder. You're a nutritionist. People will not take you seriously. Dude, I've seen it all. I have seen it all. I've seen it all. Yeah. So when it comes to disordered eating and dieting and weight loss and things, I can see patterns that others probably won't see in people. And yeah, it's exciting. It's really exciting to be on the other side of things and see things a lot clearer and just be excited. Like, had I gone down that path of restricting and macro counting and manipulation and blah, 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 yeah, that sort of keto totally triggered my eating disorder. Totally triggered it. And as soon as I shifted my perspective, I was like, holy moly, I can do both. I can do both. I can be keto. I can not be bulimic. I can love my body. I can accept my body. I can listen to it. And yes, I had a lot of music. Music therapy was part of my recovery. And yeah, so that's kind of my story in a nutshell. It's a lot longer and I left a lot of things out. But yeah, that kind of took over the Q&A and I'm really sorry. But I hope that sharing my story helps and that you see that like oftentimes there's a story like that to all of us, and it's really what we do with that. And those 472 days ago, I just decided enough was enough. And I was tired of lying, and I was tired of being somebody that I wasn't, and I was just tired of hating myself and my body and all the things. So I worked really hard at getting here. And now I have like a very, very strong practice toward myself, and I hope to share that with you guys and continue to do this. So this Q&A went on forever. And yeah, one day I will write a book about this, but not yet. Not yet. Oh my gosh, my tummy's rumbling. I'm really hungry. Yeah, I need to go eat breakfast. And yes, so if you miss any of these Q&As, you can watch them on the replay. You can go to healthfulpursuit.com/live. I'm going to start putting these on the blog starting this coming Monday. So you guys will see them on the blog. But go eat now. Yeah, exactly. So I'm going to go eat now. Thanks everyone for joining in. And I will see you next Thursday at 10 a.m. where I'll answer more of your keto questions. We got through a couple today, so that's really good. And I will see you next week, hopefully with the awesome announcement, okay? So I'll see you then, and have a great weekend. Be safe, and I love you all. Thank you so much, and we will see you next week. Bye.